Hello everybody and welcome. It's Friday, so we're gonna, relax a little, kick off, chill out, hopefully learn something helpful. We're going to be focusing on heat embossing tonight and some various techniques that you can do with it, and yeah, have some fun. So I hope you guys are well, and I'm just wanted to welcome people who are perhaps new to my channel. So Fridays is a bit of a day where I try and perhaps enable those of you who may be new to a certain technique or just want some helpful reminders about some techniques that can be used in your card making. So sometimes I don't quite end up with a finished product with these videos. I hope to, but I'm not too worried. It's very much a chill out evening of just stamping, hanging out. So hi Katrin, Linda, Lorraine, Valerie, Anne, who else? Jeannie, Crafty Catcher. Hello Crafty Catcher, welcome. Kelly, Sheila, Janice, Dana, Susan, Karen Rowe, Darrelly, Georgiana, Glenna. Hello, Darrelly, lovely to see you all. Right, so I've got a list of different techniques. I was just having a chat to some friends earlier and was going through different heat embossing techniques. So thank you, those people who are helping me. And what I've done is I've grabbed out some stamp sets and written down on post-it notes different techniques that can be done, and we will kind of go from there. Okay, so this first bit I'm going to be explaining about heat embossing. So if you do know already, just maybe skip forward a few minutes. If you're watching on the live, just have a chat to each other and welcome each other. All right, so to be able to heat emboss, you do need a few extra tools. So if you're going to start using heat embossing in your card making or paper crafting, it does take a little bit of an investment. Okay, so I will go through, I'll be quite honest with you, the prices and what it means. So in a ballpark figure, what you need to look to be investing if you want to start doing this. So you will need a heat tool. Okay, so this one is the one that Stampin' Up does. Now there are two options with this one. There's a UK plug and an EU plug, so obviously get the one that's appropriate for you, and that costs £28. Now would it be helpful if I wrote this out? Where's my little post-it note? If I write it out and we can add it all up, what it would cost just to get started. So heat tool. Then you need to have the VERSAMARK ink, and that will cost you £8.75 for an ink pad. And then if you want the re-inker, it is £5.50. Now you probably don't need the re-inker straight away unless you're planning perhaps on starting out with maybe doing some wedding invitations and you're going to do 100 or something. So I would, that is kind of like in brackets. Usually, oh, you're usually quiet. I thought you were saying I was quiet. Right. Okay. Then you will need some powder. So this year in the annual catalogue, Stampin' Up have actually helpfully put them together in groupings. So you can buy the black, the clear and the white together in a pack. That's clear and the white, and it comes with this packaging. So if you see this old, this is super old packaging. If you see when you get it, you'll get the new packaging. So there's the white, the black, and the clear. Oh, it's £17 for that. So you're going to want at least one pack, and then the other pack is the gold, the silver, and the copper. All right. So you know, again, it's up to you if you want to buy both or just the one. So you definitely, oh, I can't, it's too late at night. I'm going to have to use the old calculator. 28 plus £8.75 plus 17. Okay, so that would take you, for the basic kit, that would take you to 53.75. Now, if you were to place an order for that during celebration, you will actually earn a freebie because that takes you over the £45 mark. Now, the other option during celebration is actually to sign up for £99 and get £135 of product, and sorry, £130 of product, and you get to choose 2 free stamp sets on top of that. So, you know, you do the maths as to whether or not you think it's worth signing up. If you feel that you're going to be investing some money in your hobby, or if you would like to have a go actually selling it to a few friends, it might be worth doing that. So do just contact me if you think that's an option for you. So around the £50 mark is where you would be starting off if you have nothing, you know, if you're absolutely starting from scratch. Okay, let's move on. Right, hopefully those people who skip forward are back now. Right, now I also recommend, now we don't sell these anymore, but we call these an embossing buddy, and there are various types on the market, and if you want to save yourself a little bit of money, then I would get an old pair of tights and or a little bit of fabric and put some corn flour in there and tie it up so it doesn't fall everywhere. But basically you want some kind of drying powder at your fingertips, because as I'm touching this, it's coming out of the bag. It's just like some thick fabric around it, and this is very helpful to go over the cardstock before you stamp it, because embossing powder loves to stick to things. Obviously we want it to stick to images, but if you have just perhaps put cream on your hands, or if you haven't washed your hands recently, then the natural oils in your hands will start to come out, and if you rest your fingers on your paper, even, you know, for quite a short period of time, that oil will transfer and actually make it slightly sticky, for the embossing powder that is, and it will stick. So it's recommended that you just go over with a buddy. Now, if for any reason you get some in the wrong place, then a little brush is also recommended, but I imagine you may have something like this in your craft stash already. If you don't, then just a really inexpensive, just a soft brush though. This I think is about a size 4. Let's have a look. What size is this one? Helpfully they haven't put a size on it. I think this is about a size 4 for those of you who are painters. Right, let's get started. So a very simple basic technique is to stamp and then heat the heat powder over, sorry, the embossing powder over, and then heat it up. Now I'm actually going to do this twice because there's, oh no, wrong way around. Oops. Oh dear, I've got like too many things going on in my brain that I want to tell you about, and I'm not paying attention to what my body is doing. Right, I'm actually going to stamp 2 of these, and the second one I'm going to use my Stamparatus. Just going to grab it out of my... So this second technique is great, but you do need some kind of stamping platform. Actually, if I just pop my stamp onto there, we'll go with that. Right, so because you need to be able to stamp in exactly the same place again. Right, so let's pop my piece of paper. So I use this little icon here as my guide for where to put my cardstock, so that I know to put it in the same place next time. The other way you can do it actually is just to, and because I'm actually going to be stamping in this over here, I can do this, so my stamp is not too close to the edge. I can pop it there too, which I think I will do. Right, so I want this little butterfly just flying off like so. And what I'm actually going to do is, before using the VERSAMARK with this one, is I'm going to actually stamp with a colour. Okay, so I'm about to do two different techniques here. One is just straight embossing, and one is inking my stamp up first, stamping an image, and then I'm going to put clear embossing powder over this to make it super shiny. So pop that away because I don't need that anymore. Right, so that's that. I'm going to clean that really well. Get my VERSAMARK now. Oh, that's my dirty one. Right, now, this is just a little tip that if you get to the point where your VERSAMARK gets a bit dirty and you don't like it, I mean, they still work perfectly fine, but if it's just a personal preference, really. So I've just got a little bit on there. I've got one that is a bit cleaner, and I try and only use that with white and clear embossing powder because it just gets bits on it after a while. So I'm going to use the dirty one just to prove to you it's absolutely fine. And as I said, you can get a re-inker, and I guess you could probably wash this out actually and just re-ink it. Okay, so now we're doing the embossing, sorry, the VERSAMARK. And I'm going to move that off for a second, bring back my other piece that I'm going to do just some plain embossing on, because I'm going to show you the difference between, actually I can do silver, I'm going to do, should I do silver, gold and copper so that you guys can see the difference? And we're going to flip that round so we get two. Do that there. And I'm going to do that one there. Right, so now I need a scrap piece of something to stick under my different powders. So I'm going to just fold a piece, sorry, tear a piece of grid paper, because I'm going to be sprinkling different colours, so I need to kind of remember what I'm doing. So I'm going to put clear embossing powder over the top of my inked butterfly now. Okay, and then pop that away. And remember to put the lid on. And then I'm going to do silver on this one. And literally you just chuck it on like you can see me doing. And look, can you see that don't have enough on that bit. I've got a little bit of a boo-boo here. There we go. Oh, and it's sticking here as well, so I obviously didn't use my embossing buddy properly on that one. And pop the silver away. Da, 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 da. Always do this. Don't be tempted to think you can just leave it, because if you pop it to the side and you start switching on your heat tool and it starts blowing everywhere, your powder will go across your table. It will, it will. I will look up and say hello to everybody in a second, because I'm midway doing this at the moment, and I need to do it before my VERSAMARK ink dries. So that's the copper. I've just realised my image is not super strong there, so I don't know if it's because the VERSAMARK is dried or I didn't push it down hard enough. So that's, I'm just troubleshooting ahead of time in case this happens to you. So can you see it's not super clear on there, but it could also be that it's actually the stamp. The stamp is a very textured one. It's not a super solid one. Actually, I think it probably is that more than anything, because VERSAMARK takes forever to dry. So it remains pretty sticky for quite a while. So it's probably not that at all. Right, so we're ready to heat. So on the heat tool, you have two settings. You've got 1 and a 2. So 1 is kind of like a low blow. It's hot, but it's not kind of over. Oh, sorry, I'm back again. Sorry, I was saying that number 1 is not like really full force. So you don't actually necessarily need to put it on setting 2. It doesn't make it any hotter. If you want to, you can just leave that for about 20 seconds just to warm up as well, because inside here, oh, down in there is a heating element, and it just takes a bit of time for it to warm up. I'll put it on 1. And then you basically just go over and over and over the area. And I tend to keep it moving a little bit just to get it sort of spread out. And then as you see the embossing powder melt, then you just move on to the next area. So you've got to keep your eye on it, be a little bit patient, but also be ready to move away once it's heated up. So now this one has got the clear embossing powder. So it's a little bit harder to see when it's kind of melting, but it does kind of almost look like liquid when it's done. So I think it's really is hard to see. I'm tilting it, yes. Oh, there we go, it's happened. I can see it go kind of clear. Right, I'll come back to that one in a second. Right, let's see who's here. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Ivy, Cheryl, Dawn, Bev, Elaine. Elaine, how's your knee? Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Joanna. Monica, Susan. Okay, did you see the magic happen then? All went coppery there. Now, I'm wondering whether I actually need to buy a new copper because it's not as vibrant as it used to be. And powder does go off. I know it's horrible to think that, but after a while it doesn't work as optimally as when it's fresh. So my copper is probably one of the oldest ones that I have. And I'm thinking I probably could do with ordering a new one because it looks a little bit dull in places. Hi, Lindy. Oh, is that someone saying hello to Linda? Hi, Linda. Oh, Lindy Mills. Sorry, there's a Linda and a Lindy. Hi. Okay, let's stop there for a second then. So here we have gold, copper, silver. You can sort of see it glinting there. And this one is ink first with some clear embossing powder over the top. Now it may be that the stamp I've chosen is probably not the best example of how to use it, but I don't know if you can see it, but I can definitely see like it's clear over the top. So that's quite a fun way of kind of creating that embossed look, but without having all the colours of the rainbow. Okay, so basically ink first, then clear emboss over the top. Never be tempted to vacuum up spilt embossing powder. It will melt the inside of the machine when it heats up. Oh, that's a really good point. Yes, always sweep your embossing powder up. Okay. Now I just thought of something and then it's gone. Oh yes, right. So there's another technique that I know people do use. If you haven't got a Stamparatus, And I will show you what that is now. Excuse me. Where I have seen people, if they haven't, as I said, if they haven't got a stamparatus, but yet they want to emboss in all colours, it's where you get your VERSAMARK. Do that first. I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of cardstock. And then you get your ink. And you do that. Get ink on there. Then you do that. Then you pop your clear embossing powder over the top. And you have to kind of work a little bit quicker because you've got your... I think you have to work a bit quicker. I'm working quicker. Okay, so yes, and then it kind of sticks. So let's just test that out and see if it works. That's a technique I have seen done before. If you want that embossed look, but you haven't got the colour heat emboss powder. Yes, it has stuck. I can see it. There we go. Okay, can you see that? Brigitte always does it like that. There we go. Right, so that's the other technique. Right, so that's just straight heat embossing. So the next technique that I would like to show you is what is known as the Joseph's coat technique. And this is where you get a plain piece of cardstock, a lighter colour that is. It could be white, very vanilla. It could be just a pale, one of the paler colours. And what you then do is that you add colour using the inks and also a blender brush. So to make my life a little bit easier, because I've got a few to go, I'm actually going to use my ink pad a little bit just to pop on a little bit of colour in the background to start off with, so I haven't got to spend ages doing that. I'm also going to just pop my fingers onto my embossing buddy so that when I hold on to this paper, it's not going to have my fingers transfer oil. Brenton says, awesome, my heat embossing is so hit and miss. Sometimes it looks great, but more often a bit of a mess. Are you using a what's the word I want? Are you using an embossing buddy, Brenton? So this is Flirty Flamingo going on Daffodil Delight. You are using an embossing buddy. Okay. Just beware of overheating, maybe. When you say it looks like a mess, what can you be a bit more specific? Oh, hi, Louise. I'm going to scooch out there a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I kind of wanted this to be a little bit brighter, but the purple's made it go a bit dull. But anyway, that's okay. Now I'm just going to waft my heat tool over the top just for a few seconds, just to dry that ink off really well. Okay, then I'm going to use my embossing buddy all over it to make sure that nothing is going to stick where it shouldn't. Okay. And now I'm going to get out, oh, now I thought this was the one that I'd already cut up, but actually, you know what? I will go with this one. This is my new one that I haven't cut up. And I'm just going to use it as a whole big stamp. Sorry about this, I'd forgotten I hadn't prepared this. Get my big block, a super duper one. And apply the VERSAMARK ink to the butterflies. Now, I can't remember the last time I did this technique. I think if I've ever done it, it was a very long time ago, because I've done other heat embossing techniques, but I'm not sure if I've done this specific one. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp my butterflies really well. I have to brush off excess and stray powders, but after heating, have all the little specks. Ah. Oh. That's interesting, because if you use your embossing buddy, that should eliminate that. I mean, I know you do get the odd little ones, but maybe, I don't know. I know I'm going backwards in a way, but I would say make sure your hands are super dry before, clean before handling your paper. That's the thing that I would say. You know, get a fresh piece of paper out of the packet, make sure you've washed your hands, run your fingers over embossing buddy before handling the paper. Okay, I'm just making sure that's really well transferred. So again, I'm going to be using the clear embossing powder, and oop, I touched it probably in the wrong place there, but hopefully we'll be all right. And I'm being very liberal. I poured the whole tub on there because I need this to cover the whole lot. Get to the corners. There we go. Yeah, I think I touched something earlier. Right, so I'm being very careful. I'm just going to flip that over and give it a little bit of a tap. Okay, I'll just set that aside very carefully. You may want to try the actual powder or a finer embossing powder. Yeah, it's been a while since I've bought any make that's not Stampin' Up, and I was under the impression that this stuff was fine. But those of you who emboss more than I do, please let me know whether there's an even finer powder out there on the market, because as I said, I haven't really used anything but Stampin' Up for quite a while. So okay, so we're just going to get some heat onto this. Hi Roberta. Hi Esther. Now just be aware that your heat tool does get very, very hot. So that's the reason I'm keeping my fingers kind of away. And don't blow towards yourself either. Try and blow away. See, my tool is heated up now, so it's working much quicker than it did at the beginning. You see that change is happening so much quicker. Now you can get, I don't know, a pair of scissors or something just to hold it in place if you're a bit worried about your fingers getting burnt. I saw a helpful tip on Liz Yule's one of her videos. She has a little like bingo board with a clip on it, and she just clips the piece of paper to that when she's heat embossing. So you can use all kinds of things. So right, I'm just letting this cool down. That's my other stamp set, Brigitte. Yeah, I have two. Yeah, I have two. So you learnt this technique from Esther the other day. Oh, fab. Yes, I have seen her do this. Okay, so now I'm just going to get my black ink now. And this is the moment of truth that, you know, to check that I have actually done this properly. And you literally just do that. You swipe the black all over. And where you have put the clear ink, it shouldn't show. Now obviously it looks a bit dull at the moment because the ink is sitting on top, but in a moment when I clear it all away, it should look fabulous. Right, where's my little tissue gone? There it is. So you just get a tissue. You do get inky. Sorry about that, Louise. Louise is a little bit mess averse. But it's worth it for that look, isn't it? It's so beautiful. And that stamp set is just fabulous for it because it's got the right kind of mixture of it's got lines and bolder areas. So. Now you may, after a little while, want to just give it a little huff. Just to slightly moisten in case there's any more ink sitting on top of those butterflies. There we go. So this was the Joseph's coat technique. Okay, so I'm just going to move on now to the next one. I will review everything at the end, so don't worry if you missed anything. Just going to clean. Where are my cleaning cloths gone? Oh, there. Right. Just going to clean this up and put that away. I'm trying to tidy as I go. Be a good girl. Right. So now the other technique I wanted to have a go at with you guys was doing a kind of black on. I was going to do black on black technique, but actually I'm going to do it on black on Blackberry Bliss, because I'm going to show you how fun it is then to colour in with some mediums that do really well on dark paper. So we're going to be having a play with the chalks and the watercolour pencils and see how much fun it is to colour in between with those. So again, embossing buddy. Just to be sure. VERSAMARK. Dab, dab, dab. And I do it a few times to make sure it's really covered. Stamp. Can I move out a bit? Yes, of course I can. Sorry, Kay. Ooh, there we go. So when you're, I know this is, I may have said this before, when you're pushing down, do not push at the corners of your block, always just push on the image itself for a good transfer. Because the danger is, if you have popped ink onto inadvertently onto the edge of your stamp, if you focus on the corners, what can happen is you may rock and the ink will transfer onto your card, which is not what you want to have happen. But if it does, it does. Okay, let's get the black out. Oh, that looks dramatic already, doesn't it? Just looks fabulous. I was thinking of making some Valentine's cards. Or should I call them? Well, I was going to call them galantines, but I do have some male friends that I used to, when I was much younger, I used to send, like, they're not really Valentine's cards, but more like friendship cards. I used to use Valentine's Day as an excuse to tell my friends how much I love them. Okay, so heat emboss. Hi, Ruth. Sit back, relax and enjoy. Absolutely. It's Friday night. We just kind of take things chilled. And although hopefully it's educational, it's very relaxed. Ask any questions. If I've missed any questions, those of you who are administrators, if you WhatsApp me, I'll see it come up. Or just write in capital. I know, I did not think that the black on the Blackberry Bliss would look this dramatic, but it does, doesn't it? Now, I don't know if you noticed, but as I was heating this Blackberry Bliss, it went lighter, but it will come back dark again in a second. It's just the effect of the heat on the card. So I'm just going to let that cool down. Oh, you can get ultra fine. Ah, okay. Okay. Well, I'm pretty happy with the Stampin' Up one. Yeah, I'd be interested just to be nosy to see what it's like. But okay, so I'm just gonna, I don't know what, I'm going to put that out the way because I don't want to. So I think we could probably just go direct to paper here. Now, do I need, now those of you who use chalks, Linda, would you suggest that I then put VERSAMARK into here before putting the chalks on, or would I be all right putting the chalk straight on? I await Linda's reply. Because I guess my fear is that if I just go straight on, it will come straight back off again, but oh, maybe it won't. Oh, Linda doesn't know. Okay, let's try just applying it straight on then. It is a little bit tricky to get it inside the, so I'm going to use my finger. I think I'll do a red heart. I'll give it a shot. You've got two of them. Yeah, but I was going to use pencils with the other one. Okay. Just use my finger. There we go. Blend it out. So using your finger is the way to go in terms of getting it in between the grooves. Okay, so my attempt now to give my embossing powder a bit of a shine is just to go over with the tissue And I guess what the tissue's doing is rubbing in a bit more. Oh, it's rubbing it off completely. Oh. Yeah, the friction of the tissue has actually kind of rubbed it off. Right, let's try with the VERSAMARK. You know what, I'm going to use my dirty one. Question from Dawn. And why are we using chalk? Dawn, we're experimenting with different techniques. The theme is more using your heat embossing, but to have the colour be really dramatic against the black. That's what I'm trying to achieve here. So, oh, this is quite, look at the fun kind of pattern that I'm getting there. I was wanting just a bit of an overall, and I think I might use my other finger just to rub that in so I don't get those marks. But right, this time I'm going to get my scissors and do that. Maybe a little bit of blue, see what happens. I'm hoping that doing it on the VERSAMARK might make it stick a bit more. A little bit of an experiment tonight, guys, if you hadn't already guessed. Right, out comes the old finger. You do lose that lovely kind of splattery look, but it is sticking a bit better. It's also wanting to stick to the it's also it's stuck to the black embossing. But I'm hoping that actually it won't stick so much to the areas that I'm just going to lick. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I just want to get this off easier. Oh, I wonder if I've got a sort of very mildly damp cloth here. Chamois, rather. Let's see what happens if I do this. Okay, we might just have to put this down to a failed experiment. But I'm sure the other experiment I'm about to do will work better. I just wanted to see what the chalks look like. Well, I suppose it depends how much depth of colour you want as to whether or not you think this is a failure. It is leaving a very cool sort of dusty effect. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just going to blend the rest of that in a bit more. And it'll be interesting to see what this looks like in a few minutes once it's dried. Because there is some of that colour left there. And I don't know if that, my computer doesn't look, if it might be worth changing your settings on your computer to a higher quality. Because there we go. If you stamp with the VERSAMARK and add chalk, it will set it. Use a soft cloth, not a tissue. Yes, that's what I've done. Yes, this definitely works. And there is colour still there. So if you like this kind of grungy look, then I would say success. And you see, for me, that would make a great, like, I don't know, Valentine's card for my husband. It's not overly feminine, I would say. So there we go. You like the splatter look. I know trying to keep the splatter look with the chalk is really, really hard to do. Yeah, really hard. If anyone comes up with a technique as to how to do it, please let me know, because it is really hard to figure out what to do. All right, so there we go. That was the chalks, and I don't dislike it. It's dark, and obviously not as dramatic in terms of the black shiny as this one. It's messy, says Louise. Yeah, messy, not as messy as class 2, Louise, I would say. Yeah, that's, yeah, maybe, as someone said, putting the powder down first and then embossing on the top. That would, then you'd get the shine. So that is a possibility. Right, moving on. I want to now experiment with the pencils. Oh, wrong box. Where's my box of pencils? Here we go. So these are the pencils that Stampin' Up! Do. They are watercolour ones, so it means that you can add water to them if you want to, just to make them go further. Now, I would suggest that you put a layer of whites down first, or at least some. So I'm going to colour my heart in, mainly with white to start off with, and actually I think I'll also try and get in between the embossing and colour some of that too, although it's pretty tricky. I wonder if it would be better to get my water brush. I don't think I've got any water in my water brushes. This could be a little bit tricky. I wonder if it will take it up if I do that. Oh, yes, I got a little bit. Right. I always forget these screw on in the opposite direction than you think they will. I think it's to make it safe if you've got kids. So I'm just going to squeeze a little bit out to make sure it's running. Okay, so what you can do is actually go directly to your... Oh, clean off your brush, because obviously I used pink last time, or red. There we go. You can actually put your water directly to the pencil, and that will help pick up some colour. So I'm just doing that with the white. Or you can also, this is what I used to do when I was younger, you can dip your pencil in the water to get that activated. I just wanted to get a bit of this white down first of all before I start putting another colour on there. So I'm really trying to load my brush there. Right, let's try and rub that in. Well, that's a little bit more successful, isn't it? Oh, I'm not sure. I am not sure about this. I thought it would work really well. But it's not as successful as I thought it would be. Now I'm wondering whether this needs to go be drier now. I might have to come back to it. Let me see if I can just warm it up a little bit and dry it off. The danger being that if you overheat this embossing powder, it does go a bit weird. But I'm just trying to heat that a little bit. Would it work if you flicked white? Ah, okay. Yeah, the other option is that you use your, well, you could use your white chalk marker. Lay down a bit of colour with that. And then colour over the top of that. Otherwise known as the Louise technique. We were doing a class one time with the white ink pad, and then Louise grabbed her chalk marker and did this and discovered that it worked really well. Now I wonder if, I'm just going to do bits, I wonder if your chalk marker is happy to soak in but then also come off the embossing. Let's see if that works. So I said tonight I might have some experimentation. I think I said that at the beginning. If I didn't, I meant to say that. This is going kind of super grungy as well. Do I have Kuretake watercolours? No, I don't. Okay, right. Let that dry a minute. I'm wondering, I'll bring this one back on. Just having a little play. Just adding highlights to this one now. Well, it just goes to show you can have an idea for something and then it might not always turn out as you expected. So that's why it is good to experiment. I just get to experiment in front of you guys, so you can see what works or doesn't work. Okay, so now what I want to do is see if I can colour over the top now of my chalk. So you can do that. You can see that pink is showing up. Now, the other option is that if you do have Stampin' blends, the alcohol pens, that works really lovely over the top of white chalk as well. So see how that looks? Kind of cool. So I've ended up with another kind of grungy effect there. Now let's see if this chalk will come off the black. Oh yes, it does. Because I really like the black to show. Oh yeah. You see? See how that works? That's funny, Vicky. You tried to emboss and didn't know why it was working, then you forgot to put the powder on. Could you use a white gel marker to fill the spaces and colour over? Not sure what extra colour would stick, but the white within the black design would look pretty cool. Yes, definitely. Yes, a white gel pen would look cool. Just going to wipe over some of these. Okay, so this technique hasn't ended up looking like I thought it would look, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. It's just a bit different. So it's kind of what I would call subtle and grungy, as opposed to bright and very clear. I'm just adding some extra bits of green in there. So let me know what you think. As I said, if you're into kind of like that grungy kind of look, then you may like this. I'm not sure about this white heart that I've done now. Oh well, there we go. Right, the other technique I wanted to show you, moving on from that, so I've got black on, done that black on black, was to heat emboss white onto a dark background and then colour it in, which is, I've kind of touched on it a little bit with that previous technique, but I want to have a go with it, and I'm just going to do it twice just so that I can have two chances basically. Die cut it and grunge up a few layers and call it a card. Yes, absolutely, Linda. Yeah, it's not going to be wasted. It's, you know, it's a bit of art. I've just spent a few minutes doing it, so it's fine. Right. Yes, me too, Vanessa. I love doing that. It's such a fabulous way to make a card look really luxurious. So I will have a go with doing that. Actually, I could do that. Oh no, I won't do it now because I just want to show you this technique. Actually, I think I might do 3. So I get 3 chances. Right, where's my scrap? So white embossing powder this time. And I forgot to use the embossing buddy. So who knows how this is going to end up. Oh, not too bad. Oh, just a few strands here and there. Hi, Cindy. Oh, that sounds lovely, Cheryl. Okay, so that does look amazing. So this is a fab technique anyway, if you're wanting to perhaps do a sentiment that really is quite striking. So doing white on a dark piece of coloured cardstock does look great. Just move those out of the way because I've already marked that. Okay, so technique 1, I'm going to leave the top one as our kind of base tester. And so, as Cindy said, yes, you can get your pencils and basically colour in over the top of your white embossing, as I'm doing here. So this is the, oh, this is an old Granny Apple Green stamp. Now that doesn't actually come in the, oh sorry, this was the limey one, Lemon Lime Twist I think it was called. This is Granny Apple, sorry, I should use current products really. So this is Granny Apple Green now going on top, which is a little bit darker. So I'm just trying to get those stems. And I'm going to add some darker green as well. So this is Garden Green. Just adding a little bit. And it's nice to get all those different nuances in there. And then let's go for a nice bright yellow for these little... Oh, somebody needs to sharpen their pencils. And I'm just doing that on the little flowers there. Okay. Would you do this with blends? Yes, yes, I have done it with blends. I'm going to do that now. Yeah, you just have to go gently. Yeah, go gently. Okay, so this is light granny apple green. So, actually, let's look at this tip. So I'm brushing, I'm not scrubbing, just being very gentle. Let's get a slightly darker one. Now, you can't blend your colours as well as you do when you're just doing it onto Whisper White, okay? So this is not about blending like you would do normally. This is just about colouring in the top of the white. Get Daffodil Delight. Do those flowers. This is quite a dramatic kind of technique you can do. So the pencils are obviously, they look a little bit more sharper, the colours, and the Stampin' blends are a little bit more subtle. But both work really well, and you can kind of see the difference. Yeah. You have to be careful not to overcolour. Yeah, absolutely, because the ink has got nowhere to go. Because when you're when you're colouring directly onto paper, the ink kind of soaks in. But this, you just have to be very gentle with it and not overdo it. Though I do fancy doing a bit of pink in there now, just to see. You see, I'm just doing little spots of it. It kind of just sits on the top because it does not blend. It just sort of sits there. Okay, there we go. Cindy has a question. Oh, Cindy, can you repost your question? Siesta. Oh, and if you linger too long, your alcohol will eat your embossed image. There we go. So that's another reason you don't hang about, yeah, with your alcohol pens. You just kind of do what you need to do and move on. All right. So that is the white on black or dark and then colouring it in technique. Now, obviously, I don't need to now show you white on a dark piece of cardstock because you can see how dramatic it looks. And sometimes the white on dark looks more dramatic than, say, if you're doing the silver or any of the metallics. I find that the metallics look better on a light to mid colour. They don't always look so great on a black or dark. That's just my view. Right, so the next or last thing that I've got on my list to show you, unless you guys have got other techniques you want me to have a go doing or you would like me to show you, is I'm going to do what's called the emboss resist technique. So this is where you actually stamp and possibly do some blending into your background. Then you stamp a clear embossing powder, and then you do more stamping and inking. So it's very similar to the Joseph's coat, but it's a bit more detailed. Hi Heidi Shaw, it was your last day of work, unofficially retired. Oh, congratulations. Whitewash technique. Cheryl, can you just explain that a little bit to me? Because I don't quite know what that means. Is that where you make it look like chalk? The whole thing like chalk? That's what I'm imagining, but can you let me know? So I'm using VERSAMARK here. Sorry, not VERSAMARK, Versailles. Because I wanted to get a bit of that down. And oh, I should have perhaps put a bit of yellow first, but never mind. I'm just going to do it now. When you paint with a blender pen and white ink. For instance, stamp with nice navy on misty and colour with white craft ink and a blender pen. Okay, is that still with embossing powder? Because I want to focus just on doing embossing powder techniques tonight, and then but I am happy to do that one on maybe next week. Okay, so I'm just putting my embossing body all over that because I need to stamp with. Now this works particularly well when you've got quite bold, block, solid, whatever you want to call it, images. Permanent vacation. Oh, I don't know. I've heard people say that they're more busy when they're retired and go, I don't know how I found time for work. Okay, so I want my one little flower to go there. Then I want one to sort of face downwards that way. Bring my little piece of paper back. Yes, you can, Vanessa. Yes, you can. Yeah, I've done that before. You may also be able to use the sticky sheets as well. Yeah. Now, the other thing about the powder is I would say that if you're disposing of it, make sure you put it in the bin and that will be taken to your wherever your rubbish gets disposed, rather than allowing it to enter the water system because it's basically a microplastic and we don't really want those entering the water system. Okay, so that didn't take so long. Just let it cool down a bit. Right, so over the top of this now, I'm going to stamp some images. This is the fun bit. Now, I have actually done a class on this. I'm trying to think what, I'm sure I have actually. Have I done it? Yes, I have done a class on this, haven't I? Heat embossing. Potentially, Vanessa, yes. Yes. Yeah. Ooh, that looks a bit pale. What's that? Oh, soft seafoam. Oh. You know what? I did that so unthinkingly then. It's not the colour I don't think I want. It's too light. What's this now? Mint macaron. Go for that. Oh, that's better. some more leaves out. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. I'll take a look at that later. So Cheryl's referring to Artful Stampin Space, which is a Facebook group for people to share pictures of things that they've stamped. And it's very inspirational to see what people come up with. I also get to share my videos out on there, so if you want to get notifications or see where they're at, you can go on there. So I've got Night of Navy now. Just want to stamp some other textures on here. And I also want my flowers to really show up, so I'm going to go over with my brush. Then, as you can see, you get that lovely impression coming through. No, I haven't got anyone booked for my class tomorrow, Linda. So yeah, I'll probably cancel it. Well, I will be cancelling it, but that's okay. I'll just reschedule it. So Vanessa mentioned earlier about embossing the edges and also the possibility of using your tape. So I will show you that now as well. Can you use VERSAMARK on a stencil and emboss it? Yes. Yeah. Do you want me to have a go trying that? Right, I'm actually going to get a clean dauber. And daub my VERSAMARK through, because it's very tricky to actually get your VERSAMARK in there. So I'm actually going to daub. So I'm just tapping it through. So this type of kind of art making can be a little bit unpredictable. So you have to accept that the results may not always be as you think they are going to be. So the best way to approach these kind of techniques is with an open mind and just enjoy the process and accept that you may have to just keep playing and playing until you're happy with the outcome, but you will definitely learn from it. Okay, so that's the aim if you're going to be doing this kind of thing. If you're just heat embossing to make a sentiment stand out or something, then the results are a little bit more predictable. But if you're heat embossing and doing inking and stamping, then that's creating art, so that's different. So just accept you may have to experiment a little bit. Now, the other fun thing to do, which you can do if you want to, is actually mix embossing powder colours. Now, I'm not going to do it, but I'm just saying that some people do that. So if you have a spare tub and you want to do that, that's okay. Right, where's my... Okay, this is going to be fun. See you, Anne. Have a great weekend. Back. Boy, is it windy out there. Oh, wow. Oh, very Versailles lettering on copper paper. Cherry cobbler paper. Oh, that sounds lovely. Now that was interesting. I wondered what was going to happen then, because I actually got some of that copper on top of the clear, and it has behaved slightly differently, but it's okay. It's kept the integrity of the design. Okay, so there's a couple of, well, 2 techniques there. Yeah, a couple of techniques. That's the emboss resist. So you stamp first, then stamp on top with clear embossing powder and heat it, then keep stamping until it reveals itself, which I did do with the words the other week. Okay, so I will try and put a link to that in the description. And then using your stencils and using a dauber to get your VERSAMARK through. Actually, I should put a piece of washi tape on here and say this is the dauber for the VERSAMARK. So that was quite fun, isn't it? I keep trying to decide which way around this goes. I have to go by the very Versailles. Yeah, that's correct. So there you have it, guys. Some different techniques. Oh, yes, you can. I'm not going to show you because you just need me to tell you you can do it. Yes, you can put down sticky tape and just get your embossing powder to stick to that, and that would work. Was there any other questions? Silver embossing powder. Yes, I showed that right at the beginning. So I'll go back now and show you the different techniques that we've used. So this was Emboss Resist with Very Versailles and All Things Fabulous, clear embossing powder and the copper. This technique is the white embossing powder onto a dark colour and then colouring it in with pencils. So that was pencils, and that was the STAMPIN blends, the alcohol pens. Then this technique was the black onto a dark colour and then adding colour to see what that would look like, and having a bit of an experiment. Now this one has got the VERSAMARK ink. We decided the VERSAMARK ink underneath it in order to be able to take the chalks better. So if I was to do this one again, I would do the VERSAMARK, do the chalks, rub it all in, and then I would heat emboss afterwards. Okay, afterwards. If you want that lovely black shiny element that you get in this one. Okay, see how this is more shinier. So that's quite fun and grungy. then we've got the Joseph's coat technique, which is very similar. These two techniques are sisters, basically. This one's a bit more dramatic, this sister. This one's a little bit more kind of sophisticated and artsy. So there we go. Colour in your paper, however you want to do it, with blender brushes, swiping, whatever, and then clear emboss your image. Then get your black ink pad and just swish over the top. Do not use StazOn, okay? Do not use StazOn. Do not use that ink because it will just colour everything. You want a water-based black ink, and then you'll be able to get that to show through. And then right at the beginning, I was showing you what the different powders look like. So here we have gold, copper, silver, and then this is stamped Bermuda Bay with clear over the top. And then this was the technique. If you don't have a stamparatus to do that, you can basically ink up your stamp in the ink. No, reverse that. Ignore what I just said. Put your stamp in the VERSAMARK first, then in the ink, then stamp. So then it's slow drying. Then you can put your clear embossing powder over the top. Okay. Yes, you can. Yes, vellum embosses beautifully, but just low heat, and you may want to, it will warp it. So you may want to just do a bit at the top, bit at the bottom, bit at the top, and then maybe stick something on it to flatten it. Okay. Do I have openings for February 15th class? I do. Who's that asking? Hi, was that Heidi Shaw? Heidi, can you email me ruthtrice@gmail.com? Also, sorry to do this, a little public announcement. Somebody paid me for a class last month, and I made a mistake and didn't get them the info in time, and they weren't able to join. And I've emailed them, but I've not had a reply. Let me just double check who that was. If you are that person and I do owe you a class, please get in touch with me. Is it Denise Bullman? Denise, if you're watching, please email me, ruthtrice@gmail.com, because I know I owe you a class. Yes, right. So Heidi, email me. I do have spaces for class 4. If anyone else would like to join me for that one, it is doing the pop-up box with the fancy dancy floral lid. Okay. Right, any other questions? Oh look, my hair gets everywhere. That's my fine long hair. Vanessa, I've used the poinsettias on Stampin' Up Vellum with embossing powder. Oh, that sounds beautiful. That sounds really lovely. Okay, so I'm going to not include this technique because this was just basically showing you how they worked. But let me know what you thought of, what have we got here? That one. Stick that there. Let me know what you thought of these techniques. And love that box, says Jane. Oh, thank you. Okay, so we've got this grungy one, Joseph's coat, and then colouring on. Now, please don't take these as kind of finished results. I know it's a bit hard to see because if you love butterflies, you're kind of probably going to gravitate towards that. But think about the techniques, and is there anything new that you've learnt today? Let me know. And oh, Cindy, yes, I owe you then. Yeah, I owe you. That's fine. Or I could just schedule another one. Who's interested in doing another junk journal Zoom? If I just quickly show you the junk journals. So I teach the techniques. Obviously, you've got to use your own product. Things are falling about me. So it's a great way to use up bits and pieces to create a fun little, very artsy notebook, basically. It's a fancy dancy notebook. And use up papers. I love this one. Look, because I've got a cute little mini notebook in this one. There we go. You need to set aside around 3 hours, I would say, to do one of these. That's got a little thing. And after that, you still might be sort of fiddling and playing around, adding more bits. So let me know as well if you're interested in doing a junk journal. I might just ask the question on Artful Stampin Space and see if anyone's interested, and I'll schedule some. Okay. Yes, those new stencils are gorgeous. I thought that was one of the new ones, unless that's the Christmas one. Oh no, that isn't the new one. I know what you mean. You mean the roses? Yes. The roses and the flowers. Yeah, that would be fun. Might have a go with that. Yes, I do, Cheryl. Yes, I do. So if you're on Artful Stampin Space, I'll post the link. I've got actually, if you just wait there a second, I will get the list for you now. I've created a list through Stampin' Up, which lists everything that you need. And if you're in one of my customers, you can actually just pop things into your basket to make life easier. Now, in addition, obviously, to the list that I give, you will need to bring your own designer series paper, card, what else? If you've got stamped one sheet wonders as well, that's quite handy. Right, sorry, bear with. I'm just going to grab this link. Just trying to sign into my DBWS to get it. All right, here we go. Resource library. My files. Why is the internet slow when you need it to go fast? Okay, I'm just grabbing the link now, guys. Okay, so the link that I've just put up, the one that says HTTPS and then S stamp, you need to do a stencil embossed one sheet wonder. Oh, that's a good idea, Vanessa. Hi, Pam. It is 11:30. Yep. Okay, so if you click on that link, guys, that will take you to the list of things you need. So it's basically a paper trimmer, a Stampin' Pierce mat. You need the Take Your Pick tool, baker's twine, white cardstock, the thinner white cardstock, and glue. Now, in addition to that, but I kind of haven't put it on the list because it's kind of each person's slightly different in a different situation. You will need scraps, basically, of DSP, scraps of ribbon. I hesitate to say embellishments because putting hard embellishments into these things can be a bit tricky because they are a book. So I wouldn't recommend putting hard embellishments, but scraps that you can cut out with punches and those kind of things, and thread, ribbon, maybe, yeah, just your box of scraps, basically. The more scrappier the better, Yeah, the idea with the junk journals is actually to use them up rather than create more. Although I have had people accuse me of causing them to create more scraps. So please email me, ruthtrice@gmail.com, if you're interested in a Zoom class. Louise, so far I've got Louise and Cindy, because Cindy's obviously already paid, so I owe her one. So yeah, if you did a stencil one sheet wonder, you could do that first, as it would let you stamp over the top and resist the ink. Yes, good thinking, Vanessa. Yeah, oh, that would be nice with the roses. Oh, now you're getting me thinking now. Right. Next week. Let me write this down for next week. Where's my... Honestly, I've got bright pink Post-it notes. How hard are they to lose? But I still managed to lose them. Oh, dear. You know what? I'm going to write it on an existing Post-it note because it's just going to carry on. Emboss Resist stencil one sheet wonder. Okay. Video idea. Okay, I'm going to put that in front of me on my computer. There we go. Right. I don't need to go to bed. Thank you, everyone. Lovely to see you all. Have a great weekend, and catch you again next week. Yes, and I am officially cancelling tomorrow's class because no one's booked on. So, fifth one. Sorry, for the 5th of February, I'll be cancelling it. Although I'm just about to check my emails, and I'm thinking, oh no, I hope no one's emailed me. But yeah, no, I'm only going to run them if I have enough people, and I'm afraid one is not enough. Right. Nope, that's fine. Okay. I will have a look at my diary and get some dates for junk journal one, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Lots of love. Have a great weekend. Bye.